Hi, this is a short video talking about the Chem 104 Intro to Graphing in Excel assignment. Up here, you're going to put in your name. The data for the experiment should be in the the Excel file you download. To make a graph, we're going to come over here, select the data we want to graph. Excel's always going to assume that the left column is the X data, and the more right column is the Y data. To put in a graph, we're going to go to Insert, and then over here you can see there's a whole bunch of different charts. And this is for scatter plots. The instructions inside this little box say we want a scatter graph without connecting lines. You can see these three all have connecting, or all four have connecting lines. Smooth and two different types of smooth, with and without the data points, two different straight line connectors, but we want this one. Once we've got that, we want to sort of give it an appropriate title and axis label. So I'm going to put it in here, and this might be called one fallback is you can always have the the Y unit, or the Y axis versus the X axis. So that would be an appropriate title. You can be a little bit more descriptive if you know more. This might be a standard curve for aspirin absorbance. Something like that. All right, once we have that, then we also want to put in axis titles. You can do that here with this big green block, or you can also do it up here, where you could then like add individually both the horizontal vertical axes. So let's see the horizontal one here. So you always want to have axis labels, and you should always have the units of that quantity in parentheses. So don't say grams of aspirin. Grams is a measure, it's a units, it's not a property. The mass is the property. And over on this side, we don't have any, we're gonna insert a vertical axis. Here we don't have any units for absorbance. Absorbance is kind of weird. Sometimes it has things called AU for absorbance units, but absorbance units doesn't really mean anything. It's just so you don't have to put it on there. It's not included here. All right, so we got appropriate title, axis label, insert a trend line. So Excel can insert a fit curve, and so we're going to go down here to trend line, but we also want to show the equation, and so we want the R squared. So I'm going to go to more options, and under more options I can click display equation and display R squared. And the R squared value is a measure of how linear the function or the data is. The closer to 1, the more linear the system. And then we want to put the graph over this block, so I'm just going to drag this over here, and then I'm going to sort of like that. There we are. And it's pretty close. That's good enough. So there we go. We got a graph. Here, the second graph, we have one set of X data and then three different samples, three different Y data that we want to keep separately. When you choose multiple, more than two columns of data, usually Excel assumes the first column is the X data, and then the subsequent columns are different sets of Y data. So if we go here, it says create a scatter plot with smooth lines connecting data points. So whoops, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go to insert and then here, and so these are the smooth data lines, and we can have it with or without the data points. It doesn't really say, so either is possible. I'm going to leave in the data points. and then supply an appropriate title, and so we could say absorbance of samples 1, 2, and 3, something like that. That's good. And this the x-axis is we're gonna put in axis titles. So over here again we have absorbance as the down here we want to have usually I don't, it's a little bit up to you, but I usually don't capitalize the axis label, though I think I did with absorbance on the last one. Try to be consistent. I'm not being consistent. Yeah, I should change that if I'm going to do that. All right. And so supply appropriate set wavelengths as the axis, and you include a legend. So this automatically included a legend. The other thing, though, is we can see is that this sort of doesn't make any sense that we've got all this blank space over here and blank space over there. So we want to change the x range. One thing you can do is you can right-click on that, and over here you can see they come up. We get these ability to change the range of the x-axis, and then I'm going to change it to 600. And then we're just going to take this and stretch it out to fill in the box like that. So it looks good. This graph is very much like the first one, except you have to do some data manipulation. So here we don't want to plot the time as the x data and the concentration of cyclobutane as the y. We actually want this is the time as the x data, but the natural log of the cyclobutane concentration. So we're going to take this is going to be equal to, and then we're going to have ln is a function we can use in Excel to calculate the natural log, and then we're going to take that, and those are kind of you can see up here right now those are not defined as a number. I'd like to change it to a number. I can probably get one more sig fig. That sort of seems reasonable. Most of these have 3. Most of these have 3. It's not exactly here. These have 3. The rules with natural logs are a little bit weird, but that looks not too bad. To do this, to plot data or plot data where the x and the y are not directly next to each other is a little hard. I know that on PCs, what I do is select this data, hold down. Now I've released the. Excuse me. I'm going to do that again. Select this data. I've released the mouse button, but now I'm going to hold down the control key and I can select this data again. So now we have these two selected different. With Macs, I think it's a little bit different, but please look into your ability to do that. And then we can just insert, and there we got a graph. And it's it turns out that for first order kinetics, the slope of the line is equal to minus k, and so you can go on and figure out the rest of this assignment. That's all I got. If you have questions about how this works or what's going on, please let me know. But good luck and have a good day.